Hey YouTube, welcome back to New Rock City, the show that brings you a brand new band each week with an interview and music videos. Tonight we have a guest from Delran, New Jersey. The band is All Systems Go.
Woo!
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
The first thing I just wanted to do was have you introduce yourselves and say what you do in the band, please.
Okay, I'm Matt. I play guitar and sing.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I play the drums, hitting things behind these guys.
Hi, I'm Dean, and I play the bass.
Very nice. So I want to go into your first album. It's called Garden State Skies, and I read that it was recorded in your living rooms and basements. That's pretty awesome. What was that like for you guys?
Yeah. It was fun, but it was like it was still kind of a mess. Like Joe, we recorded the drums in Augie's basement.
Yeah, we were really just kind of figuring it out as we went. In some ways, we knew a little bit going in, but I think we got into it and we were like, oh wow, this is a lot more than we thought it would be. We got to make sure. Okay, yeah. There was some trial and error involved.
Gotcha.
For sure. And
yeah, like he knew how to use Logic from studying it in a little bit in in college, and in doing that, I was watching him do it. I slowly learned how to use Logic and sort of edit things and record guitars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, with us just learning how to, just set everything up and get good tones and stuff, we, it was still kind of a mess. But we had fun doing it. The only thing was it took a while.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Some of the songs that actually made it onto those albums, I heard that they were actually originally written back in your old high school days. Is that correct?
Two of them were.
Which ones were those?
So Tofu that was the only song that we didn't change. We changed a little bit of it, but it stayed basically the same as it was in high school.
Okay.
Fun fact, I think we played Tofu once live since I've been in the band.
Yeah,
really?
It's a deep cut for us at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It is a deep cut, yeah.
Well, that's funny because that's one of the songs I'm going to be playing tonight.
Yo!
Yeah, that is Tofu by But We Aren't Canadian. Devin and Augie wrote that way back when, and actually we played the very first time we played it at somebody's Sweet 16 birthday party, and it wasn't done yet. So instead of "It came as no surprise," Devin just sang, and Augie just sang, "We need a melody and maybe a harmony, whoa," and that became an inside joke for us at that point.
That's funny.
That was one of the first songs that we played together, though, for sure.
I think so, yeah. Along with London Lights, because you had written that.
Yeah. I wrote that in 2015 when I was overseas. The only thing that it's different about, well, the only thing, it's completely, the lyrics are completely different. It used to be kind of like a angsty relationship problem type of song.
Gotcha.
It was called Completeness Unlocked back in the day, and it was a step higher too. But part of the reason why we kept both of those is in high school we didn't get to record those. Those were the two songs that we had after we recorded the CD that we made in high school. And it's
Gotcha.
we never got to continue it, kind of thing. So we were able to bring it back with the band now. So.
Okay. Well, I was gonna play another song first, but since we just went ahead and talked about it, I'm gonna go ahead and play Tofu. So here's Tofu by All Systems Go.
Shop, better get it down. Put on your shoes, take a trip
Welcome back to the show, everyone. The next song I wanted to play off that album is my favorite from the album. What can you tell us about 18th Street?
18th Street. So, it's about drinking.
Great song. Honestly, it's a great song.
18th Street is the name of the like junior and senior housing at Susquehanna University, where I went to school. Basically, just talks about the party environment and like how no responsibility is the only thing that you have to look forward to in the night is just getting turned and then seeing what happens, kind of thing. I tried to in the second verse it talks about Fetty Wap, David Guetta. I name drop both of those. J. Cole. In college, like that's all we listened to, like party music, gotcha. EDM, rap. Like now, like all I listen to is pop punk. But like back then, I was a huge fan of like all that type of music. So I tried to like sort of like capture that in the song.
All right, very cool. All right, so I'll play that for everyone. So here is 18th Street by All Systems Go. I'm going to play one more song from your first album before we start talking about your EP. And I want to play Flight Deck. What can you tell us about that song?
Devin and Augie wrote it. So that song is about smoking weed.
Well, it's funny because even the track length is 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Exactly.
That was on purpose.
So actually, originally, Flight Deck was one of the last and during process of elimination where we were choosing a name for the band. That was one of the final choices.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. So I remember like saying I didn't like it because it sounded more like a song or like an album or something like that. Like, Flight Deck by All Systems Go. And then it was one of those things where it was like we were just learning how to kind of like write lyrics
Gotcha.
and like use like metaphors and stuff for stuff. And I was like, yo, what if you used what if you used like flying or like a plane as like just a metaphor for being high, and like call the song Flight Deck or whatever. And Augie, in our first chat that we had, Augie goes, challenge accepted, we're doing it.
Nice.
And like that song's so much fun to play live though, like because of like it might not sound like it based on the production, but like at the time that was like our heavy song.
Gotcha.
You know?
All right, so here is Flight Deck by All Systems Go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We currently have some cloudy skies over the Garden State, but we will be landing in Philadelphia as quick as we can. Our elevation right now, still very high, but we are doing our best to meet our destination time. In the meantime, sit back, relax, grab some food, and enjoy your time on Flight 420. Start your engines, light the fuse. We're going on a journey, you can't choose how we get there. Way high in the air, flying past the clouds at a supersonic speed. Mind is drifting, flight goes on. Plane is crashing, but nothing's wrong. Path's chosen, keeping it going. Hold on for too long and you may just regret it. I'm chilling, not stressing. Got the energy of a jet plane, and you and me can beat the clouds and go higher and higher. The back breeze collecting, it'll hold us up from gravity, and all I feel's my smile growing wider and wider. Check the aisles, watch your step. Grab my luggage and look left to see smile. First in a while, giving me a look like a mirror made for two. Grab a pillow, headphones on. Dinner is served and now it's gone. The plane is shaking, it's no mistaking. Looking all around and we're nowhere near the ground. I'm chilling, not stressing. Got the energy of a jet plane, and you and me can beat the clouds and go higher and higher. The back breeze collecting, it'll hold us up from gravity, and all I feel's my smile growing wider and wider. Been floating in this cloud for days. My mind is stuck in endless haze. The pilot says we'll be delayed. Navigates this empty maze. Lost my mind, it's deep in space without a drift in any place. When we land, we'll be alright. It was the perfect flight. I'm chilling, not stressing. Got the energy of a jet plane, and you and me can beat the clouds and go higher and higher. The back breeze collecting, it'll hold us up from gravity, and all I feel's my smile growing wider and wider.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. And when August was in the band, he was quoted as saying, "We went in almost completely clueless. which led to mixing complications and delays. So
Mhm.
I want to know, what lessons did you learn when making the first album that helped you later when you started making your new EP that's entitled The Waiting Room?
Know who you're working with, for sure. Whoever you're working with, know that they're not a magician. Like, make sure when you're tracking stuff, like, no one's gonna edit your mistakes out. If your mistakes are in there, then they're in there, kind of thing. Um, I think it's better to work with people hands-on too than through the internet, because at least, like, we paid somebody else to mix it, but based on
Gotcha.
like the interactions that we had and stuff, and how like vague our communication was, and how like there was a lot of miscommunication throughout the entire like mixing process, and like when we finally handed in our tracks and stuff, that it basically turned into a bad experience for us.
Gotcha.
um that's what I got out of the Joe. I don't know if you have anything
Yeah,
different than that.
I think
to
we
add.
really learned to have a plan because, well, he talked about the delays. August did in
Right.
that quote. It came out in January, February
Of
I forget.
2019.
of 2019,
Yeah.
and then we didn't play a show for like 3 or 4 months because I went back to school out in Millersville, Pennsylvania. So usually you release the record and then you go out and play the songs for people. We released it. It was hype for a couple days, and then we didn't play for 3 months. So all that hype just kind of died
Gotcha.
down again. So we were able to kind of plan a little bit better. Not only the release, but also like, okay, here's the release, and then we're gonna go to these shows and talk about the album, the EP, whatever, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
We had zero content for Garden State Skies. Like, I think the content we had was just the post the day of, and we tried to spread that as far as we could, but it didn't like go. You know what I mean? It didn't go anywhere.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, here we go. Barry's coming in now.
Mr. Barry Drewmore.
Yo, it's Barry Drewmore.
Hey, what's up, man?
There he is.
Cool.
Welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you so much.
So I'm just gonna ask you the same questions that these guys just answered.
All right.
So I read a quote where August said when you guys were making the first album that you guys kind of went in clueless, you made some mistakes. So I wanted to know, what lessons did you learn from doing that first album that helped you when you started recording your EP, The Waiting Room?
Don't record it on your own. That was the first lesson. Second lesson is don't listen to everybody that comes to you and tells you they know what they're talking about, because that'll lead you down a dark hole. And honestly, what really helped me most was when we actually ended up going into the studio for the EP and working with somebody new. They had ideas that we never even thought of. So having that extra outside voice telling us, hey, why not this, and then experimenting is probably the biggest
Nice.
upside.
I'm going to piggyback on that because we talked about how when you went into a studio, because the Waiting Room was actually made in a studio. So the process was easier. A lot of those kinks got worked out. But what about the actual songs? How do you feel the actual music benefited from being in a studio?
They suck. I'm just kidding.
You weren't even there, man. He wasn't even there.
I know, but when they came out, I only listened to it like 50 times, like before it was released.
Right.
I have to say, one, having a grand piano there, that was pretty cool. Joe got to do his little diddly, which I'm still in love with. So that was cool. Being able to use some pretty gnarly equipment was great, other than just having a 4-input little mixer for us to we couldn't even set up a whole drum set on it, so that was definitely not great.
And piggybacking about what Devin said too, like combining what he said with the last question and your question, Steven, like what a studio does, what it did for us basically was we could go to Jamie, who mixed and recorded, mixed and mastered the record. Great producer, Jamie Gowell. What a studio does and what Jamie does in his expertise, it's like we can go to him and say, we want this record to sound like Common Courtesy by A Day to Remember, From Under the Cork Tree by Fall Out Boy, Brand New Eyes by Paramore. Same like guitar tone, same type of energy, same like drum sounds and stuff like that. And he knows exactly what to do in that
Nice.
regard. And
That's cool.
that recording ourselves with the first album, we couldn't do that, and we wouldn't know how to emulate that, on our own.
Yeah, and that was with the mixing. With the actual recording, I thought too, we went from the other three guys are sitting in the room, and you go through the take, and it's like, okay, cool. I think I did this wrong, so I'll try that again. But having someone else listening to you there, someone with that expertise, like Matt said, and Jamie was so great at this. And then the recording we just did too had me thinking about this again too. Having someone there, okay, this was a little off, and maybe try this here, and maybe try this here. Okay, ready, go. So the content we were able to put out, or the content in the songs, I guess, improved in that aspect. Just having those ears on us and being able to tell us, like, okay, take this again, do this a little bit better this time, or work on this in this next take.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate that story because in season 1 I had Pete Zen on the show, and he's a producer from South Jersey. And with so many like these programs, and even like GarageBand is free, there's a lot of people trying to make their own music. So it's nice to see that there's still a need for producers, even with so much free stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say about production, I've taken one production class, and the amount of nuance that goes into work that they do, it's easily as complex as being a master violinist or anything like that.
Gotcha.
You can produce your own music, but there's no substitute for being a professional producer. And
Nice.
we learn more and more like as we go on, I think.
Definitely.
Very cool. All right, I'm gonna play a song off your new EP. The first one that I want to play is the song "T.J. Eichelberg Isn't Even a Doctor."
It's the best one.
What can you tell us about that song?
So about the song structure and stuff, I wrote the first 2/3 of the song, just about, or the first half, I'd say, through the second chorus, and then taking those parts of the song to rehearsal, I didn't know how to continue it. So in one rehearsal, Joe came up with a drum beat, Devin came up with a chord progression that we used for the song, I came up with the words and the melody and stuff like that, and then Augie came up with the bass line that you hear in the back half of the song, all in one rehearsal, and then all of a sudden the song was just done, basically. That's the first song that all four of us in that lineup of All Systems Go, that's the first song that all four of us collectively contributed to the way that it sounds.
Gotcha.
Musically and lyrically, I would say the song itself is about when you find out something either shady or weird about somebody else, and it distorts your perception of everything that you think that you knew about them. I don't want to go into too much detail about the specifics of that, but it's basically when you find out that somebody is a liar, or somebody they're not who you thought they were. And I was in a pretty dark place when I wrote the lyrics for that song. The back half of the song talking about drinking and driving and stuff, and how that was super out of character for me. But I'm hoping that people who listen to it can kind of get that message out of it, that even if, don't let other people affect you or who you are, kind of thing. I think the song really captures that.
So here is the song "T.J. Eichelberger Isn't Even a Doctor" by All Systems Go.
I've got a sense of clarity from the things that go unnoticed. For the longest time, these eyes were always out of focus. Seeing who you really are, it put me at my
Welcome back to the show, everyone. So my next question actually ties in very well with what you were saying about that song. Because, Matt, you were quoted as talking about the differences between your first album and this EP, and you said this: "The album was more or less me or Devin instructing the rest of the band on how to play our finished ideas. But for this EP, all four of us built each song from the ground up." And you said that that was the first song that you guys did that with. I want to know, in your guys' opinion, how do you think your songs have benefited with this new direction of songwriting?
Well,
They've
for
definitely
one,
gotten better.
yeah, Joe is a killer drummer, and he's pretty badass, and he does other things outside of drumming, which you get to see on Real, also on from the same EP. Which actually, we said we built these all from the ground up, but don't get it wrong. He wrote that song by himself.
Yeah, as Devin said, I wrote the song "Real" off of
Okay.
Waiting Room EP, and to correct him a little bit, I wrote the song structure and the words a little bit. And then I said, okay, Matt, do the guitar thing over top of it, and
Gotcha.
do all that because
Hey, that's what I do. I do the same thing, man.
he makes it sound really awesome. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in terms of writing, so from the ground up kind of thing. For the Waiting Room, all the song ideas that we had going into like having new material, maybe halfway done, a quarter of the way done, a third of the way done, whatever, going into practicing it with all four in the room kind of thing. That's the way that each one of them started. Whereas Garden State Skies, it was like Devin had Tofu already written, like I had London Lights already written, he wrote Former Years, like I had 18th Street written, like stuff that was already like there kind of thing. Yeah, it's just the experience of writing new music and just doing it with our current lineup kind of thing. And going forward, that's how we've been continuing it. Like all of us have input on everything that the band does at this point.
Yeah, and going into the EP, it was like we were able to find our sound based on things that we liked and didn't like from the album.
So continuing talking about the writing style, Matt, you were also quoted as saying that your style has changed a little bit over the pandemic. And you said that during the pandemic, you started writing lyrics first. What kind of led to that change up?
Basically, going on long walks is something that I took up during the pandemic. Just thinking of like, it started off as thinking of just like one-liners, oh, that would be cool in a song kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And then just like okay, like the EP came out a while ago, we had content for it for a while kind of thing. It's like, okay, I want to start writing the next thing, but it's like the thoughts that I would have for like writing anything would come when I would just be isolated out walking somewhere kind of thing. And like I would write down everything that I would think of. And I know Devin basically was doing the same thing for a while in terms of words and stuff.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, though, when it comes to writing the music itself, most of the time when I come up with something, it's at practice. I play something really stupid because I'm goofing off like an asshole. And that's like, wait a minute, what was that? And that's usually how we come up with a lot of the music itself. But when it's lyrics, I'm just sitting on my phone. I drive for work, so I have a lot of time to sit and think to myself.
Gotcha.
And that just I have a lot of time to do that.
It's like song concepts too. That's how they're born. Just like, like I think there was like I remember specifically there was one walk where I went on where some random number called me, just like an unknown number, and then right afterwards my brain was like, you could hear this in a song. What if that was like one of your family members who was in trouble calling from somebody else's phone, and it was your fault that you didn't pick up, kind of thing, and just like dark mood, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So like different, like just random subconscious like ideas like that. That's like you could, even if that's not a full song concept, you could use that as like a one-liner somewhere. So I was just writing everything that was coming to mind for a while.
The last song I want to play from you guys is the song "The Story So Far." What can you tell us about that song and the lyric video?
The lyric video is sick. It was made by Ryan Hanratty of Frosted Green Productions, who does a lot of our videography. I hope we get to work with him again sometime soon. Song and lyrics, that was the first song that was done for the EP. Lyrics, simple, just about how asking somebody out is better than not, or like making a move is better than not saying anything at all.
Very cool. So I'm actually going to play the lyric video for everyone. So here's the song, "The Story So Far" by All Systems Go. All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. We talked a lot about the band's past. I want to just take a second and talk about the future. What can your fans expect from you guys this year?
I guess since the pandemic, we've only been able to practice a handful of times, and sitting on our own, we've just had nothing to do but sit and collect all kinds of ideas and stuff. And we just recently hit the studio and had a couple of songs recorded, and we're able to bring to life, a lot of the ideas we've had building up for 2 years almost.
I was talking to you, Steven, about how me and Joe actually just got done demoing more stuff. So far, and like Devin mentioned, we're in the studio. So far, each of us has like our main song that we kind of have. So, like we went into the studio, recorded with Nick from Man Overboard. So I basically have a song, Devin has a song, and then Dean has a song too. That each of us we've either been sitting on like the material for a while, or at least like a few months, half a year kind of thing. So
in Dean's case, like 5 years.
Yeah. That whole experience though, that was something else in terms of hopping back in the studio versus being in the studio for the waiting room, like working with a producer who he had a lot of creative input in terms of how the songs were from the demos that we sent. What to expect? What can fans expect in 2021? These songs for sure. Probably a lot of content going along with each of these, because one thing I just want to mention this too. One thing for these songs versus the songs that we've had in the past in terms of like vision and what we want out of these songs, the fact that we're able to actually put in so much we're going to put out a lot of content for these songs basically. And like I said before, with Garden State Skies, we didn't have any content. We just had the music and just the recorded stuff anyway. So what fans can expect basically is how we're going to bring these songs to life.
In line with what Matt was saying, I wanted to bring this out because last night you guys were on a podcast that was done by the band Win by Two. Mm-hmm. And Matt, you said this. You said the new songs, which we are currently recording, are the best the band has done so far. In your opinion, what makes these new songs so special? What makes them the best?
That is a deep question.
Let's see. I'm not going to give away what makes my song so special, so we'll leave it
at that. Okay. I would say before hitting the studio, the amount of effort that we put into each of these songs. Like we played Dean's song first, like way back last summer. Like we played it for one live stream and kind of made that like one of the center points of, aside from this is the only show that we're playing during the pandemic kind of thing. And since then, like having demoed it after and stuff, we put so much effort into trying to like create the actual sound of the track. And then when we took it to Nick, it just like it's so like it. I don't want to give too much away, but like the song itself was realized. I think Dean can definitely testify to that.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah. Oh, after all the like different years that it's been through and all like the different like forms of input there have been, like it's like it is on another level from the original song that I created back in like 2017 or whatever. So I think kind of all the songs that we have recorded in this past studio session, they definitely represent like a clear step forward with regards to like the direction of the band. Like we kind of talked about that a while back. We're like, what do we want the next album to sound like? Well, we want it to sound like, more mature and like, like the songs that like we've developed as musicians, but also as like, people who write music. And I think we've definitely reached that so far. And yeah, we put like a crap ton of effort into all the stuff that we've done, like just like every single detail and every song's fleshed out, because Nick wouldn't let us get away with any bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like every single detail is really just like painstakingly worked over. And I think we're going to continue doing that for all the rest of the songs on the record. And when it comes out, you'll be able to hear it. It's going to be like, this is like our, like we've, it's like the next step.
Matt, earlier in the show, you talked about how the band pretty much got back together because you played a guitar riff to Devin on your phone. But I also read about that guitar riff that has actually never been used in a song.
No, not yet.
Is that gonna make an appearance maybe on the new album? That guitar riff?
No, no.
No.
We just never bring it into existence. I mean, it could. One thing that we've done, one thing that we've done in any of the songs that we've recorded is take ideas from other things where we thought it would be used for something else. Like okay, even without giving too much away, I had two riffs. So in one of the new songs, I had two riffs that were recorded on my phone from like 2019. One of them I had listed as like a Santana riff because it was like super like minor Hispanic sounding kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And the other riff was called the ice cream truck riff, just because the way it sounded like super beat. It sounded like an ice cream truck basically. But with the new in the context of the new song, the Santana riff is now in a major key. And it's in a completely different context. And like seeing how long ago that I recorded those two riffs, or just like just wrote them down, kind of thing. Like I never would have guessed at the time of writing them that they would be in the context that they are now.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say most of our music comes just from a bunch of random scrapped ideas.
Yeah.
So the one riff that brought the band together is still out there, yet to be heard.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't even have it on my phone anymore.
Oh, really? That's funny. The last part of the show, I just like to open up the floor to you guys and say, what would each of you like to say to your fans?
You guys need better taste. That's the first part.
Why are you listening to us?
That's a good one.
No, but like, if you guys like the waiting room, especially if you guys like Garden State Skies, if you like going to our shows, I think you guys are really gonna love these next songs that we have coming out.
I agree with Matt. Well, first of all, after both of these, it's always so humbling to have like people from school or work or whatever just be like, hey man, I listened to that album and it was really cool, or I listened to the waiting room and I really like this song. I'm like, oh my gosh, and that's always really cool. Or like someone buys merch or something like that. I love those little things. But I definitely echo Matt with I hope that I think that people are going to like this new stuff even better. I know for me, I was like excited about the waiting room after it came out, and when I heard the final product, and I was like, yes, I'm excited. This time, like they're not even mixed yet, and I'm already as excited I was when the waiting room came out. So that's pretty cool, and I hope people will be as excited as we are about this new stuff coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Devin, sir, go ahead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I gotta say to all our fans, if I see you at multiple shows, best be, I don't even know what I'm gonna say. Be reassured that I will buy you a beer. That's what I was looking for.
Gotcha.
Yeah, honestly, thanks for listening to our music. Like, at one point we had 1,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. It's like I can't even like fathom having that many people. Like, people are coming up to me, like people are like, dude, the waiting room's awesome. Like, I can't believe, and I'm like, I didn't play on the waiting room, but like it's just so great having people like listen to our music and like buy our merch. Like, people are like purchasing stuff that we sell. Like, that's like freaking awesome.
That's
and
cool.
Like, we haven't played a bad show like since I've been in the band. Like people come out to see us and like they're like hype, and like sometimes people like know our songs and stuff, and it's like, it's like all people we know. Like, we don't really have like people coming from like California to come check out All Systems Go, but like it's awesome. Like, thanks for your loyalty will be rewarded with these bangers we put out this fall, or at the end of this summer. So.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know all bands say like thank you to the fans stuff, and it sounds like, but really like when you have people buying our merch, when you have people like shouting us out and stuff and like spreading the word, like it lets us do more,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like really like thank you to anybody who supported us.
And for anybody who has not come to a show yet and you really like our high energy music, I can promise you that if you come to a show, the energy will be tenfold and you're going to have a freaking great time.
We are so much more annoying in person. Like, come on, especially Devin.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Well, they're gonna be coming now for that free beer that you promised.
Oh yeah, if you like dad jokes and satire, you're set.
Nice. Well, for those watching at home, I'm going to have a link in the description to where you can follow the band and keep up with their social media. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And for those
thank you for
watching at
having us.
home, we will be back next week with a brand new band. So, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy your night.
Thanks, Steven.
Thank you. Have a great night, man.